This episode is brought to you by Broke Ass to Badass, our signature 8-week online course. Our program is the school where you learn to hustle less and focus on what really matters, getting your products, services, and gifts out to the world. Our program is all the branding, tech, social media, and mindset support that you've been looking for. And this is your one-stop shop for building the badass business of your dreams. And guys, fall enrollment for this program is closing August 31st. We'll tell you more about that in this episode, but if you have been waiting for the right time to jump in, now's the time. Jump on over to brokeasstobadass.com/apply and book a breakthrough call with us.
Welcome to Broke Ass to Badass. We're Kimi and Pua, digital media nerds and jiu-jitsu-loving business coaches, joyously obsessed with creating freedom for heart-led entrepreneurs. We're here to help you go from frustrated to fierce, from hustle to flow, from broke ass to badass. Find out more about us at bledigital.com, and wherever you're listening, be sure to click subscribe so you never miss an episode. Hey guys, how are ya? Today, we are going to be talking about giving up too soon. And the flip side, keep going. The most annoying advice ever. So yeah, we were, here, brainstorming, heartstorming about what we wanted to share about in today's episode. And this really came to heart. And that is this feeling of, this thing that we see often. We've seen it in ourselves. We see it in clients. And that is this thing that we do where we give up right before things are about to get really, really awesome, and just giving up right before things take off, because often that can be one of the most uncomfortable periods of time. So we're going to dissect this and dig in a little bit to this very fun and important subject.
Yeah. When you said that's the most annoying advice in the world, what happened? Like, I feel like we were on a podcast interview recently and we asked someone, like, what advice would you give to somebody who's in this place? And they're like, I would just really say, like, just don't give up. And we were like, that's the most annoying advice. And I remember, I don't know who this was. But I just like, am now like, that's not nice. I hope that they weren't offended. But anyway, yeah. And it's like, so this comes up in really kind of big ways and really small ways. And we've recently been just kind of reflecting on our own journey and, big ways and like, screw this is too hard. I'm going to give up on being an entrepreneur and find a real job. Or small ways like, oh my God, my webinar is not working. So let's just never show this to anybody ever again because it doesn't work. Right. And so there's that, like, there's a little bit of, and, the other thing I think would be really good to talk about here is that the kind of hustle balance that we've been talking about lately also. Mm-hmm. Right. So you guys hear us talk about hustle so much and how we hate it and how we're not supposed to hustle because it's so yucky and blah, blah, blah. But
that sounds like
really, yeah, right? We're like, nah. But at the same time, we've been kind of debating what hustle actually means to each of us and to the people of the world. And if there is actually an appropriate time for temporary hustle. Mm-hmm. And I think that is often, like, we don't want to tell people don't hustle, and they're like, well, you told me not to hustle, so I didn't, and now my business isn't working and I'm going to quit. So I don't know what to do with everything I just said, but
I got you. Yeah, for sure. And I think that let's address, first of all, why people might give up and ways that we can sort of support ourselves. And I think you're right. The hustle piece of this really comes into play, because what happens is when we feel like we're hustling and things aren't happening, we want to give up. But when we feel like there's also the thing that happens where if we're not taking enough inspired action towards things and not sort of bringing, I don't want to say hustle energy, but persistent energy to something and that willingness to keep going, then that can also lead to us wanting to give up. So for sure, it is about, I would say, the ebb and the flow and the kind of hustle and flow, if you will, of being an entrepreneur and of, taking those periods of time of stepping back and saying, okay, what's working? What's not working? What can I celebrate? And what can I work towards? Right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. So let's Let's go back to this weird conversation that we had yesterday about hustle. Because I would like to kind of bring this debate to the table, because if we're going to tell people not to do it, I think we need to like at least define what we mean by hustle, because I didn't realize until yesterday that our definitions of hustle and your definitions, as in like you, the listeners, not you, Kimi, is probably different from ours, or it might be different from ours. And so, if you're thinking hustle as like simply attracting clients and perhaps leads or calls, or however you end up enrolling people or getting customers, like that potentially does not feel heavy to you. But there are other people, like the big hustle kind of guru is Gary Vee, and he gets a bad rap for being too hustle focused. And he says, like, you don't eat, you don't sleep until you have the business of your dreams, right? Like, and I guarantee you he doesn't follow that to that extent. So I don't think you should either. But there's that. And that's really what we're saying. Like, there is no way that even if your business takes off, if you do it from that space where you're just like working 20 hours a day and you're not sleeping and you're not eating and you're not spending time with your family and your friends, like that is probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the hustle that we don't want you to fall into, because it's really just not worth all of the wealth and all of the success in the world to give things up, like your time, your energy, your relationships. So from that place, let's reframe this right now and just like say that hustle, at least to me, is the act of getting business, right? And there is an energetically positive way to do this, and there is a sort of energetically not so positive way to do this. And for you to give up on your dreams or to give up on a part of your business, perhaps instead of giving up on something that doesn't seem to be working, we could add a little bit of hustle, a little bit of positive, balanced, strategic, intentional hustle to a small part of your business that would have long-term payoffs. What we mean by this is, full disclosure, Kimi and I created an evergreen webinar. We put together the whole funnel, top to bottom. We even did some Facebook ads to it. We had the webinar. We had the call to action. We packed it with tons of value. We had our landing page. We had our call to action at the end, book a call, and the thing didn't convert. It didn't work. We got a few people watching it. Like, our click-through rate was okay, and then not that many people watched it, and almost no one made it to the end, and we got almost no calls booked. And we were like, well, this webinar thing doesn't work. We wrote it off, and we didn't really revisit it for a long time. And there were little hints here and there in the communities that we were a part of and the coaching programs that we'd done in the past with people who had been massively successful doing webinars. And it, at least for me, it wasn't until we did a podcast interview recently where someone was like, it doesn't usually work the first time or the first few times. You got to keep massaging this and kind of looking at the different aspects of your funnel and seeing where people are dropping off, and just do some dissecting and see, could you adjust something here or adjust something there? And instead, we had totally given up, right? And we aren't quitters. You guys know that. So for us to have that kind of shine the light on what we had done with our webinar, it really just kind of, it pinged something in us and encouraged us to share this with you guys today. So if you guys are going through something, and it just requires a little bit more work on our part, perhaps a little bit of hustle, right? Creating the time to re-record the webinar, to go through the funnel, to see where people are dropping off. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what is that saying? Like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Or I know there's another, I remember in the fitness world all the time, it's like, you don't slash all your other tires just because you got a flat, right? And that's like the message here, and what we were reminded of. And that is that just because one piece of something isn't working, we don't have to get all drama and be like, oh my God, like webinars don't work. It was like, no, it's not that our webinar on any level failed. It's that we got closer to creating a successful webinar. And if we can shift our mindset around every aspect of what we do to not look at things as failing, but actually giving us feedback, right? Feedback for how to do something a little bit better, shift it in some way. This can apply to every aspect of your life. And it's only when we immediately go into that ego place of like, oh my gosh, this failed. This doesn't work. It becomes like we make it so much bigger than it needs to be, instead of stopping the comparison, not going into that thing of like, how come this doesn't work for us? Webinars don't work for us. Other people's webinars are better. Other people are, then it goes into our whole story, right? Of like, other people are better at this or whatever. And so we can just relax, tell our ego, calm down. Nobody failed. This isn't a crazy crisis. This is simply feedback in order to shift and improve and continue and to keep going. Again, there's that advice again, right?
And I feel like it's the same idea as that whole fail forward movement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can say, oh my God, recording this webinar and spending all those hours putting together the slides and building the funnel and creating the landing page, all of that was a huge waste of time because it didn't work. Or you could say, my business was a huge waste of time and money. I have no money now. I have to go get a job. What a waste of 5 years of my life. Or you could decide, and all this is a conscious choice on your part, to say, what can I learn from this experience that was so hard, that was so painful, that felt like it didn't work? That is how you keep going. That is how you move forward. It's not just like put your blinders on and keep walking, right? It's okay, I fell into this hole a little bit and I'm finally out. What can I learn from this? And I know that advice is really annoying too, because you're like, well, of course, like, why would I not try to learn? Like, I'm not going to go and make the same mistakes again. That's not what we're worried about. We're worried about you giving up. We're worried about you quitting right before the world gets to see your gifts. Right before you get to change someone's life, you give up. Think about it like that. That's heartbreaking.
For sure. I think one of the things that really also kind of leads to us quitting too soon, or deciding that, okay, I don't know if I have it in me to keep going, is our tendency to be really forward focused when we're working towards something, right? So we'll take the webinar, our poor webinar. Let's take the webinar example again, and here we are, we have this idea, we think, we put all of our hope and our excitement into it, right? We put all this time and energy and a little bit of hustle into creating the thing. And then it disappoints us, right? We have this attachment to the outcome. We have this idea of like, this is how I wanted it to go and it didn't. And what that moment can do is send us back into a spiral of like, I wanted this thing that was in front of me and I didn't get it. So I am a failure, or this doesn't work for me. Maybe I should just quit. And what that does in that moment is it diminishes and just wipes away and has you forgetting everything else that you've done. And so part of the reason that originally in our weekly planning process, right, that we always said it's important to reflect back and celebrate how far you've come. Look back at the week and don't just look at the things you still want to do, like create a new webinar to make it better and keep moving forward, but look at all of the beautiful things that you've done in the past week, the past month, the past year, the past 5 years in your life. Because when we realize how much energy, how much beautiful, inspired action that we've already taken in our life, that actually reminds us that we have so much invested. We have learned so much. We are growing. We are expanding. And this is simply just a little hiccup in the bigger vision of what we want to create. So remembering, yes, for sure, don't compare. For sure, how can you learn from this? But also really celebrate how far you've come. And that's going to fuel you to keep going.
For sure. And perhaps it's not a hiccup at all. Perhaps it is another opportunity rearing its head.
I like that.
Like,
yes.
Right? And I feel like this is so okay. So let's rewind a little bit. I did not feel very connected to the greater force of whatever you want to call it. Universe, spirit, God, I don't care. It's all the same. And I was not super connected to that before we became entrepreneurs, because I just didn't feel like, I don't know. it becomes a necessity, right? That trust in the bigger picture, because when you have a job and a salary or a paycheck, it is somewhat predictable, right? You don't have to be like, I trust that clients will come because of the work that we're doing right now, the long game, blah, blah, blah. Because it doesn't matter. Nothing matters because you're going to get that paycheck until you don't, right? And so, and I say this, I'll take this with a grain of salt because it does matter. It always matters. But I didn't think it did. And then we start, doing the work that we're doing now where it can be volatile. It can be feast or famine. And we're learning and we're sharing what we learn along the way with you. But there is kind of that necessity for trusting in the bigger picture, trusting that when something doesn't work out, something better is coming. And, again, not just like going about it blindly, being like, well, I had no clients for the last 3 months, but I trust that somehow money's going to show up, right? Like that. Some people actually say that and it happens. And I can't speak to that personally, but not to say it doesn't happen. But there is some, like, you do have to really take quote unquote failure as opportunity. Always, 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 whether it's you creating that opportunity for yourself based on what you learned, or knowing that, hey, 4 clients canceled on their breakthrough calls last week, but you're about to get somebody who not only is going to enroll in your program, but they are going to be a lifelong loyal client buying everything that you create from here till forever, right? So you can't know. And all we can do is trust that when we continue to do the work that we do based on the lessons that we've learned, good things will come.
Yep.
I know, irritating.
Badass philosophy 101, right? That everything happens for us, even when we were originally hoping for a different outcome. It's still happening for us. It's still an opportunity. And we can even choose to reframe everything that happens to us as opportunities, right? Whether it's like, yeah, this didn't work out. Awesome. That means that it didn't work out for a reason, and I'm determined to keep going and figure out what that reason is, or at least just trust that something better is coming.
For sure. So you guys know that we are closing enrollment to B2B August 31st. So if you guys are sitting out there thinking maybe Broke Ass to Badass 8-week online course could help you, we invite you to book a breakthrough call right now so that we can chat with you about what that looks like and what's going to happen after we close enrollment on August 31st. But we're realizing also that it's going to create such a cool environment in B2B, because you're going to have this group of people, this group of heart-led, amazing entrepreneurs going through the course about the same time. So they're going to go through the modules at the same time. They're going to be on the calls at the same point in the course. And that's something we haven't really experienced yet. And I think it's going to be so cool. And as a community, you get to lean on each other and say, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Week 2 just opened. Did you guys watch this module? I love it. This is what I learned. This is what I'm stuck on, right? So it's creating this thing that we didn't even anticipate. And it's going to be so fun and so powerful and so incredible. And yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people have been asking to just some like FAQs. I thought maybe we'll drop a few FAQs in to share a little bit more about the program. Just a few questions, because we have been now getting a bunch of breakthrough calls and getting to hear kind of what people ask when they hop on the calls, just to get a better feel for what our program looks like as it is. And as Push shared, we do have some really exciting things coming too that you'll get access to even if you opt in this month. So this program is an online course that we have 8 weeks of modules, but with in-depth trainings, everything from mindset trainings to copywriting to all of the tech support that you would need to create your online business, to figure out what that looks like, who your vibe is, who your tribe is, all the branding and business support that you can do in sort of this self-paced, but also it drips out to you week by week. And there is this community of accountability to keep you on track moving forward. But what I love so much about our program is that it is so high touch as well. And when you come in this month, we also, as part of that program, you get 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with us, as well as every week, there are 2 live calls with Pua or myself. So not once, but twice, you have the opportunity to hop on with everybody in the program and connect and bring your questions. And these questions there's a range, it's not just about tech stuff that comes up. It's also mindset stuff that comes up. And it's so beautiful to see, having everybody on the calls and hearing everyone support each other. It's really beautiful. And this community is blooming and growing into this, amazing network of support. And it's so fun for us to see all of our Broadcast to Badass program graduates beginning to collaborate with each other and do sort of joint ventures and support each other in the work that they do. And to see them continuing to communicate in the graduates community, because we have a graduates community too. So once you get through the program, you get moved over to our graduates community, and there's a lot of support, continued support there. So we're really proud of it. And again, if you have any questions, this is the time to take inspired action, to even just hop on a breakthrough call with us and, find out if it's the right program and the right time for you. And that is 100% the best way to know. These calls, people, whether they opt into our program or not, people tell us that they leave these sessions feeling so invigorated, so inspired, and have so much more clarity in terms of what their next best steps are. So what is there to lose except, nothing. There's nothing to lose. And so, we encourage you. You can go to broadcasttobadass.com. Our calendar is absolutely filling up as we get towards the end of the month. So this is the time to take inspired action. So broadcasttobadass.com. Do not delay.
Yep. You said it all. We're like obsessed with this. We're obsessed with our program. We're obsessed with our clients and our members. And it's so, and if you guys have not heard on our podcast, or if you missed that, the last couple of interviews, and actually all the interviews for the rest of the month, I believe, are going to be with people who have gone through our program. And they're now out there doing amazing things in the world. And it's like, I don't know this feeling for myself, but I imagine that it's like seeing your children grow up and go off to college and or not college and do something that they love. And that's how I feel. In 8 weeks, it's like 18 years of, having a child and then watching them bloom and blossom and do something amazing in the world. And is that weird?
No, that's exactly what it's like. It is.
Tell everybody that our clients, I'm like their mom.
They're our babies. Babies.
It is. It's really cool. It's just so, it's such a good feeling. And this is just kind of like a little humble brag, but it's such a good feeling to know that we have been a part of someone's journey where at the end, or, the new beginning, that they are out there changing the world for the better and providing a service that people need, and are out there, relieving people of their pains. And I don't know. I just love it. I can't stop thinking about how much we are just so blessed and grateful to have this as what we do every single day. And we would love for you to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Our program, just to bring it full circle, we designed our program so that people don't give up too soon. That's really what it is. So I feel like we have wrapped this podcast up into a beautiful package here. We've come back full circle. Next week, Tuesday, our interview is going to be with Dr. Rebecca Garifo. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to love this episode. She is so amazing. She's an author. She's a healer, a coach, and just a badass. And our conversation was really, really juicy. And she actually just took her book that she's been working on. I think she said since she was 15 years old. She just took it to the editor, just submitted it. So this is like a huge deal. And she is a perfect example of somebody that kept following her soul and kept saying yes again and again to what was calling her, including joining our program. So we love her. You are going to love her. Stay tuned for that. And by the way, next Tuesday is also Pua's birthday. So everybody, let's sing happy birthday.
Oh God.
Just kidding. That's like the worst song ever. It's so hard to sing.
And it's so awkward when
it
people
is so
sing
awkward.
it to you.
It
You're like,
is.
wow,
You just
this
stand
song
there.
is lasting an hour.
Yeah, you just stand there. That's why I like I like the fast one. Happy birthday to you. You know that one.
Or the it's a birthday song and now it's done or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
Everybody should do that one.
So I want to just finish this up with a little reminder in honor of Pua's birthday that for those of you that do decide, yes, this is my time. I am here to keep going. I am ready to bring my beautiful gifts to the world. When you do opt into our program this month, a portion of your tuition goes to support Wild Aloha Foundation, which is the beautiful organization, nonprofit organization that Pua and two of her friends, two amazing women, founded together, in Pua's like spare time. She's freaking amazing. So, I'll let you share a little bit more about the organization and, what a beautiful thing to have going on during your birthday month. It really fills my heart.
Yay! So the Wild Aloha Foundation is a nonprofit, and we're actually officially 501c3 organization, so you can have a nice little tax write-off if you guys are donors. But we contribute to organizations who are actually on the ground fighting things like poaching, trafficking, animal abuse. So the organizations that we're starting with are those who are on the ground in Africa primarily fighting poaching of rhinos. And if you guys don't know, rhinos are poached. It's like a crazy statistic. Like 1 to 3 rhinos are killed every day for their horns. And they take the entire rhino's life to take off their horn because it is believed in some Asian cultures to have medicinal purposes, even though it's the exact same material as our fingernails and our hair. So, and rhinos procreate very slowly. So to kill 1 to 3 a day means that the population is decreasing faster than they can reproduce. So we are actually really close to losing the entire rhino species forever. So that's really something that has been heartbreaking for us to know, and we decided to create a foundation to help support the people who are on the ground fighting this. So on September 6th, we have our first fundraising event, and we're going to contribute everything from that event and everything that we are able to donate from Best Life or BLE Digital this month to the Care for Wild Rhino Orphanage, where they take in the rhino babies whose mothers have been poached and killed. So, I mean, it's kind of a secret dream of mine to find a rhino baby and snuggle with it. Mm. So I hope that this is going to get us a little bit closer to that as well. But yeah.
I love that. I'm like, my brain is just like, oh my God, how can I make this happen for Pua's birthday? Like, please, if you have a baby rhino, can you just like DM me immediately? We need to make this happen. Oh, awesome. All right, guys. Well, you have your inspired action steps to keep going in your badass, beautiful business. You can go to brokeasstobadass.com and find out more. We can't wait to talk with you.